Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PeoriaLife show. So today I'll be interviewing the Honorary Andre Allen, Peoria Council member of the 4th District, as well as the head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, aka DEI, for the city of Peoria. So,
County of Peoria. County of Peoria.
my apologies, my apologies.
No worries, Ed. No worries.
So, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me, Ashman or AR. Me and you, we go way back,
High school days.
probably over 20 years now. We getting a little long in the tooth, buddy, but it's been great to stay connected with you. And somehow our paths just continue to cross, and it's a beautiful thing. But just the elevator speech about me. I'm lifelong Peorian, graduated from Peoria Public Schools. Rich was class of 2007. After high school, went to Illinois Central College for 2 years before transferring to Eastern Illinois University, where I finished my bachelor's and ultimately stayed for my master's degree. During my master's, I started my career in higher education. I was a graduate assistantship as an academic advisor for an alternative admissions program, working with first generation college students like myself. That was a great experience. After I graduated from Eastern and finished up my graduate assistantship, I began working at Illinois State University as an academic advisor. And then in 2016, I returned back to Peoria when I took a role at Methodist College. There, I was in a multitude of roles: dean of students, director of student affairs, student life coordinator. Great professional opportunity. And then ultimately decided to run for city council in 2019 after sitting on a variety of boards and commissions, including the Peoria Public Schools Foundation, the Peoria Promise Foundation, Tri-County Urban League Board of Directors, Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce, and then ran for City Council in 2019. We came up short, ran again in 2021 for our district, and here we are, and been serving the great constituents of District 4 in the city of Peoria since May of 2021. So time flies when you're having fun.
So, my first question. First, oh yeah. So, how do you feel like in your first term as the councilman for your district? How do you think you have impacted? What do you think your accomplished? What are the accomplishments you're most proud of?
Absolutely. I'm very proud of the progress that we've made in this almost 4 years in my first term. Proud about what we've been able to do as far as infrastructure improvements. We've seen improvements to Allen Road. We've seen improvements to Glen Avenue, which was in District 4 before the maps changed. We've seen improvements to Orange Prairie. We've repaired our residential streets and sidewalk repair, the things that truly matter for our constituents. You need good roads to drive on. I'm proud about how we've been able to support our small businesses in District 4. We've allocated over $323,000 of American Rescue Plan funds to District 4 businesses, letting them know that we believe in them, we support them. And so we received our allocation. We made sure that our businesses received that intimately. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud about what we've done supporting our neighborhoods with our neighborhood mini grant program through the city of Peoria's community development department. We've allocated over 28 grants to neighborhood associations and homeowners associations alone in District 4, totaling over $110,000. These grants are used to do signage repairs in neighborhoods, park benches for neighborhood parks, sponsored block parties, just great opportunities for our neighbors to come together for a common goal project and build that social connectedness that unfortunately was lost during the pandemic. So I'm very, very proud of that. I'm also proud of how we've been able to engage with our constituents within the 4th District and beyond. I host a monthly series entitled Coffee with Constituents on the first
Oh
Thursday of the
yeah.
month at 7 in the morning. We've held over 40 meetings during my tenure on the city council. And it's just a great opportunity to not only for myself to engage with our constituents, but also to I bring in city staff, department heads, also bring in external stakeholders to come and talk to our constituents. I think it's very important that you disseminate that information in this role, and they have questions, comments, concerns, and they can be more engaged in the process. So I'm very proud about the accessibility and the availability that we've brought to the horseshoe during my duration. Some other things I'm proud of. I mean, we've had balanced budgets my entire tenure on the city council. We've been very fortunate to do that. We have not implemented any new taxes or fees since I've been on the city council. We actually voted and sunsetted the public pension parcel fee that was around for about 3 years prior to my arrival, but our financial state was in good shape where we were able to make our pension obligations and still are. And we were able to sunset that public pension parcel fee and provide some relief to the taxpayers of the city of Peoria. When you think about some of the other things that have occurred throughout the city, again, being on the horseshoe, it's a team effort, but seeing improvements to Wisconsin Avenue, seeing the old Harrison and McKinley come down, and there was a affordable housing project revealed earlier this week that'll be happening at the old McKinley site. So it's just been a blessing being on the city council, being able to be in this space, make decisions on behalf of my constituents, and I look forward to continuing that in this role.
So, my next question. What specific strategies do you plan to implement to address public safety concerns in Peoria?
Well, public safety absolutely is a priority. It's one of my four pillars of the Moving Forward platform.
Oh,
When it
yes.
comes, yeah, when it comes to public safety, we have to ensure that every resident in the city of Peoria deserves to feel safe, regardless of what zip code you live in. So, what we're going to do is continue to invest in public safety, and that's going to be a multi-pronged approach. We're going to support our police department. We're going to make sure that they have the tools that they need to keep us safe, whether that is aiding recruitment efforts. And Chief Echeverria and his team have done a great job with trying to recruit qualified and diverse applicant pool to serve our community. They've really been intentional about advancing a community policing model. I'm very proud of that. And examples of that include the walk and talks that they do when the weather is a little bit better. They go around to different neighborhoods, and people are able to engage with a police officer proactively versus when they have an issue. And I think that that's very important. When you look at the new TIP 411 line that was created, where we are empowering our residents, when you see something, you say something. And so you're able to use the TIP 411, empower yourself, and to be able to report issues that you see in your community and have a police officer address that. We've been able to support them with some crime prevention technology, including the Fuchsias video recording software, where they
Oh,
have a cloud-based platform where property owners that own camera systems can upload their footage into this cloud-based software, and it's responsibly monitored. But the beauty of it is, if a crime happens in your area and you're tapped into this Fusus cloud-based software, the police can actually look at those videos and solve crimes. And we've been able to
wow.
see that. Yeah, and so we've invested in that. We've also invested in responsible drone technology, which is led by Sergeant Stinson, being able to it's safer for some of our first our officers going right into a situation. They can use that drone, go in there responsibly, of course. And again, that's just how we're investing on the police side. I think overall, though, again, like I said, it's a multi-pronged approach. So when you think of public safety, yes, it's police, but it's our fire department. So we've supported the fire department. We've part of my time on the council, we brought back Station Two. It was closed. We brought that back, put that back on the books. We've continued to support their recruitment efforts, and through the advocacy of Senator Dave Kaler, we secured a $5 million grant per the state of Illinois to build a brand new fire station on Northmore Road, our old stumping grounds, right down the street from Richwoods High School. So we're going to have a brand new fire station coming to the area.
Oh,
Yeah, which is a game changer, and so I'm very excited about that. But again, just another example of how we're supporting public safety, and then also too, again, public safety is also it's code enforcement. It's supporting those efforts, supporting the staffing needs to get out there and be able to be proactive, and if they see issues, and work with residents and work with business owners, but to ensure that our residents are doing what they need to do to comply with code to ultimately keep everyone safe. And then lastly, it's really being proactive in supporting our community. We've allocated over $1.5 million to violence prevention initiatives within the city of Peoria per our American Rescue Plan funds. And so I'm excited about the seeds that we planted in that space, and ultimately to see what's going to come from fruition from that investment. So public safety will continue to be a priority of mine, and I look forward continue to keep advancing it. We've seen reduction in crime. We are actually at 2024, we were at 20 homicides for the year, 20 too many, but also that is a pre-pandemic number It's the lowest it's been since the pandemic, excuse me. So we're stepping in the right direction, but also too, though, we have more work to be done because although the stats may say that we're doing better, but we know that we just had a 9-year-old that was shot by a 15-year-old a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So we can't ignore the fact that we may have some good things going, but we can't take our foot off the gas because like I said earlier, every constituent, every resident in our city deserves to be safe, and we will stay committed to that to ensure that that's a reality.
Now, how do you propose to manage the city's mounting public pension costs while maintaining fiscal responsibility?
So the pension obligation is something that every municipality is wrestling with. It's an unfunded state mandate. We've been very fortunate due to our strong revenues the last 3.5 years, also the external funding that we received per the American Rescue Plan Act. And so we've been able to make our pension obligations and some. Per current legislation, the pension has to be 90% fully funded by 2040. And so that unfunded mandate right now is about $366 million. And so it's just going to continue to keep ballooning unless we get some relief from the state of Illinois. What we have to do as a city is continue to make our mandatory payments, which we're doing, being very cognitive of what's on the horizons as these keep ballooning, and then also to start seeing what is possible. An example that I saw recently was the city of Kankakee. They were able to take advantage of the market, and they were able to issue bonds in order to fully fund their pension obligations, I believe, to the 90%. And the time that they issued the bonds, they were able to get a great interest rate that ultimately will save the taxpayers over $17 million over the duration as they're paying those bonds off. And so that's something that the city of Peoria, we may have to consider of issuing debt in order to meet those pension obligations. This is not something that we can cut our way out. We cannot reduce our basic core services that our constituents rely on each and every day in order to meet these obligations. And so we have to continue to work hard and strategize, making sure that we are making our pension obligations, that we're keeping our revenue strong, that we're looking at potential issuance of debt in order to make that a reality. And it could be something definitely to consider. When I think of, some of the obligations that we have currently in the city of Peoria, some of those will be coming off the books. So when you think of our budget, like a professional team, we have a salary cap. And so we have certain things that are on the salary cap eating up at our budget. But the bonds to the Civic Center, for example, they'll be coming off the books here towards the end of this decade. And so that'll give us some salary cap relief, and maybe we can allocate that what we're paying towards that, towards a debt issuance of bonds towards the pension obligation. So, I'm aggressive. I'm prepared to make the right decisions for our city to ensure that we are meeting those obligations while also maintaining a strong commitment to basic core services in our community, because that's what our constituents are relying on.
Can you elaborate your vision for downtown revitalization and how it will benefit the city?
Absolutely. So one of my mantra is district focus while maintaining a citywide perspective. Downtown is a priority of mine. I have a new appreciation for downtown. Working for the county of Peoria, my office actually is at the courthouse. So walking downtown, and I get my steps in, not as much as I should, but I try to walk around, especially when the weather is good. And so I definitely see downtown as a core part of our strategy. And that's the reason why it's one of the 6 pillars, part of our community strategic plan. I want to continue to support our businesses downtown. So ensuring that they feel that they are supported not only from a financial standpoint, anytime that we have funding opportunities to help our businesses out, our existing businesses, I think that's great. If there's any type of things that we can do from a regulatory standpoint to make things a little bit easier for our existing businesses to maneuver, as long as it's not addressing or causing any public safety issues, I think that's always important to listen to them. I believe that we also have to continue to ensure that public safety is a priority. Unfortunately, I hear from people that they don't feel safe coming downtown, and perception is reality. And so we have to continue to keep ensuring that we're addressing public safety and investing in what I like to call, and it's a concept that you see in other cities, but it's called clean and safe, where you have individuals who may not be armed, but they are a security task force where they're downtown. They're they're picking up trash. They've got visible bright shirts on, and they're just a presence. And then if they see something, they can report that to our police department. But we've got to continue to ensure that people feel safe when they come downtown, when they leave the Civic Center, when they leave, whether it's Jackson Adams or they leave a Kelhurst. We want them to feel safe, and so we'll continue to keep working in that regard. We've got some great things happening downtown. When you look at what OSF has done with their headquarters, Caterpillar, it still has a strong presence in downtown Peoria. When you look at some of the other businesses that are still thriving there, whether that's Kenny's Westside Pub, Jackson Adams is doing good. The Warehouse District is doing great. The city of Peoria, we recently acquired the PNC building and the adjacent parking deck. I think that's going to be a good opportunity for us to really bridge the Warehouse District and the Central Business District. Looking at the right tenant from that, that could be a great mixed use opportunity when you talk about retail and commercial going into the PNC building as well. And then we did approve the Riverfront Development Plan earlier in 24. And so we are, knock on wood, but we're set to receive $15 million from the state of Illinois to execute that plan. And if that comes to fruition, that's going to facelift the riverfront and really make it a great draw. And you think about some of the things that are already happening organically in the riverfront. When you talk about the farmers markets that happens in the summer and the concert
yes.
series that the Park District is doing and things of that nature. I mean, you go downtown on a Saturday when it's warm, Martinis is jumping. And so if we can really, get that money from the state and facelift the riverfront and really make that park nice, continue to advance public safety, ensure people feel safe, downtown has the opportunity to be a destination, not only for our current residents that are here, but for external people who say, you know what, I don't want to deal with the hustle and bustle of Chicago, but I'll go to Peoria for the weekend. I'll stay at the Pier Marquette. I'll stay at the Sheridan 4 Points, and I'll walk downtown, and I'll go to the Civic Center, and I'll go to the Riverfront Park, and I'll go to these different amenities, and I can get right back to Decatur or Champaign or Springfield within a 90-minute drive, and I ain't got to deal with the hustle and bustle of Chicago. So that's my vision for the downtown, and I definitely see it coming to fruition. We've got some people that believe in it, and I promise you it's better days are ahead.
How does your role as Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer influence your approach to city governance?
For myself, I know the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion. We have organic diversity, just the way our demographics are in the city of Peoria, and that's a bonus. When you think of inclusion, people are, included for the most part, whether that is, where that's geographic location, where you work at. But that equity piece is so important. Equity is intentionality, it's action. It's reflecting on the past and acknowledging that there are demographics of individuals in our community that have been systematically put at a disadvantage. It's not to make anyone feel bad about that, but it's just to acknowledge that we need action in order to ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity to life, liberty, and happiness, not to sound cliche. And so for myself, I bring that lens when it comes to government, when it comes to being the voice of the voiceless and the hope for the hopeless for certain constituents who aren't really used to a councilman returning a call to them or showing up to an event or showing up to a neighborhood association meeting or an HOA meeting, ensuring that not only am I advancing my priorities for my district, but also thinking about some priorities in some of the other parts of our city that need investment, whether that's within the 61605 or the 61603, because I know when we improve those areas, that is a tide that raises all boats. When those areas are able to generate higher property taxes and have higher earners that live in those areas, and the sales tax in those areas are thriving, then that causes relief in the other areas of our city, and everybody does better. Everybody does better when everybody does better. And so that's my mantra that I bring to the table when it comes to it. I believe everybody wants the same things. We might go about it a little bit differently, but I'm very committed to diversity, equity, inclusion because it's needed. And it's a pillar of our strategic plan, and I look forward to staying committed to that and advancing it within our city.
What initiatives do you plan to introduce to further promote diversity, equity, and inclusion within Peoria?
So I'm very supportive of the things that are currently happening. Actually, next month we have our second annual procurement fair that our
Oh,
Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer Melanie Green is leading with various community partners, including the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce and other, to uh, bring different entities together, whether that's government, whether that's not for profit, and letting small businesses know and local area businesses know, especially those who may be categorized as a diverse enterprise, whether that is a minority owned business, a woman owned business, a veteran owned business, a disabled owned business, about the procurement opportunities that exist within local government. And how do you go about seeking these opportunities? What paperwork do you need? What are the points of entry? I'm so supportive of that. And so we'll continue to keep going down that path. I'm supportive of us continue our workforce participation goals. Our workforce participation goals on projects are 18 and 5%, 18% minority, 5% women. And sometimes we come up short, but you got to have a goal so then that way you can be working towards what you ultimately want to accomplish. We want to have an economy that everyone can participate in because, again, when everyone does better, everyone does better. And so I'm going to continue to keep supporting those goals. I'm going to continue to keep wanting more businesses to participate in our economy. I'm loving what we're doing as far as on the recruitment piece. We've had very diverse and qualified classes coming into our police department. I know our fire department, they're working on trying to diversify their department a little bit more as well too. Because again, that just ensures that everyone has an opportunity to really serve our city. So we'll continue to keep working at it. We're committed. It's part of our strategic plan, and I look forward to what comes next.
so how do you balance your responsibilities between the city council and your role in the Peoria city government?
So just to clarify, I work for Peoria County Government as the Chief Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Officer. The city of Peoria does have its own diversity and inclusion officer, Miss Melody Green. So just to clarify that, but you just keep everything this separate. I mean, it's a reason why I've got three phones because I have a city phone, a county phone, and a personal phone.
Wow.
I ensure that if there is any type of intergovernmental agreement or anything like that, I connect with our corporation counsel at the city, and we connect with the state's attorney at the county, and they talk and they ensure, okay, is this something that he should be able to vote on, or is this something that he needs to recuse himself from? And that's only really happened like once or twice. So, but I'm very intentional about that. Prior to getting into this space, I was in higher education as a dean of students, and so I'm a very risk avert person naturally. But when you're dealing with serious things like Title IX and code of conduct issues and emergency management, you learn to be very tactful and to overthink and make sure that you're doing things the right way. I'm very transparent, and so I think that we've done a good job, just keeping things separate. There is some natural alignment, but for the most part, though, like I said, I've been very, communicative with my supervisor, who's the county administrator, Scott Sorrell. And so I feel pretty good about what we've done. And like I said, we just are very intentional about keeping the two as separate as possible, because I think that's what everybody believes in.
So, can you discuss any upcoming infrastructure projects planned for the fourth district?
Absolutely. So, one big one that we have coming down the pipeline will be Reservoir Boulevard.
Oh,
We've got engineering in the budget for 25, which that's always part of the genesis of doing any project. You have to do the engineering first. That's a little over $300,000. Reservoir needs a full blown reconstruction, which is about a $4 or $5 million project.
oh,
And so once we get the engineering done, and then there's now um, intentionality of securing some external funds. I heard some good news recently, but I don't want to let the cat out the bag about a potential grant that we received that I
okay.
help. But if we do not receive that grant in the budget beginning 27 and 28, we will pay for the reconstruction out of our general fund. So ideally, we would get this grant because obviously then that will allow us to divert some of those funds to maybe do another project and so the city wouldn't have to swallow that entire cost. But if we don't get the grant, we are prepared to do that. And Reservoir Boulevard needs some serious TLC. We were able to do some small repairs earlier this year. We were able to secure a grant through the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, and we put a crosswalk right by Sterling Towers, which has been a game changer, especially for those residents that live in Sterling Towers. Many of them have varying abilities. They utilize scooters and wheelchairs and things of that nature. And so now they're able to safely cross Reservoir and when they go to Kroger's on Sterling, and they're just going about their business. So that is a very important project that we have coming down the pipeline there. I've got a traffic signal coming to the corner of Teton and University. That's in the budget for 2026. That's about a $500,000 project. I was very excited to get that put in the budget. And then from there, we got some smaller residential projects. Creighton Woods will get some sidewalk repair. We have what is called a pavement preservation project, where yearly our public works department goes around and they audit streets, and then they see which streets can be repaired in more of an interim or temporary solutions, whether that's filling a pothole or putting a seal over sidewalks that can be repaired. Because one of the things that I learned in this role early on, AR, is road projects are very expensive.
Yeah.
It's especially when you want to do full blown reconstructions, and so sometimes you have to do some temporary solutions in order to make
That's
roads
reasonable.
drivable.
That's
Yeah,
perfectly
just to
reasonable.
make roads drivable. But we have a great public works team. They're going to be introducing this new asset management process to us, where we're looking at our streets a little bit more intentional now, trying to catch them before they get to a place of needing a full blown reconstruction. We can catch them earlier, repair them earlier, so then that way they have longer shelf lives. So those are just some examples that are going to be happening in the fourth district. I'm very intentional about having my constituents let me know about the residential streets. I think that's one of the things that I had to learn in this space when it comes to residential projects. The primary funder of those is the motor fuel tax, and those dollars only go so far when you talk about trying to service all five districts. And so we've got to be just very intentional about being able to submit those Peoria Care submissions and letting Public Works know about that pothole or that sidewalk crack, so we can get out there as soon as possible. So that way it can be repaired before it goes beyond a place of needing a full blown reconstruction. And then now we're trying to wait for a grant or something along those lines. Just because, again, the dollars are always so finite when it comes to road projects.
So, how do you plan to support local businesses and encourage economic development in Peoria?
So what we have done, and I said this earlier, is we allocated $323,000 for our American Rescue Plan Fund allocation to just District 4 businesses alone. And we allocated probably in totality, I would say a couple $1 million to businesses citywide. So I think it's very important that when we have funding opportunities, we are able to provide those to our local businesses. I think that we always need to audit our processes and our procedures. Sometimes I hear that Peoria is not business friendly, and so we need to take that feedback to see what do individuals mean when they say Peoria is not business friendly. Is it a process thing? Is it a regulatory thing? Is it something that we can take a step back and say, okay, I see your purview. Now, it's very tough to draft an ordinance that is a one size fit all. And so sometimes there's always these different nuances. And so I think as a city, we just need to figure out when are those times where we can be a little bit flexible to ensure that we're creating a climate where people want to invest in our city there. So I think from a regulatory standpoint, a bureaucracy standpoint, just ensuring that people are able to navigate the space. Shout out to our city staff. They have this annual occurrence called One Stop Shop that happens on the Monday of each week, where individuals who are interested, whether that's you trying to open up a business or you're trying to do a project at your home, you can come connect with city staff and they will walk you through that process, the permitting, things of that nature. And so I think there's efforts to be more proactive in that space. I think we need to promote that a little bit better, so then that way someone doesn't come do all this work trying to get a business going and then they run into some roadblocks. If we can let them know about the roadblocks ahead of time, that'll avoid a lot of frustration in that space too. And the one thing that I plan on doing in my second term is I'm going to create a quarterly business roundtable for District 4 businesses. That's something that I think is very needed. When you think of District 4, we've got a lot of great businesses. A lot of the commercial real estate is in District 4, from Northwoods Mall, Shops at Grand Prairie, Glen Hollow Shopping Center, Westlake, Sterling Plaza, Willow Shopping
Oh,
Center, and
yes, very much so.
anywhere in between. And so I want to have a quarterly business roundtable where I can bring in city staff, hear what businesses are saying to us, so then that way we can be proactive when it comes to funding allocations and things of that nature on the horizon. We can bring in public safety, whether that's the fire department, the police department, code enforcement. So then these businesses, they feel supported. They know what's on the horizon. Again, just open up those panels of communication. So that's something that I really believe that Coffee with Constituents taught me, that when you have that consistent meeting with constituents, that knowledge sharing, you really can't, you can't really underestimate that. That is so important. So I want to do something similar for our businesses in District 4, and that'll be something that I will implement in my second term.
So next question is going to sound redundant in regards to what you just said. What measures are you considering to improve the quality of life for residents in your district?
I would say when it comes to quality of life, um, when you talk to someone, that can mean different things. But I think we all have some of those common kitchen table topics that we all agree are quality of life, and that would be public safety, making sure you feel safe, making sure that you have a good living that you can provide for your family, that your housing's affordable. You want to make sure that you have good roads that you can drive on, that we are creating an environment where business want to invest and create entertainment opportunities. And I think we've seen our entertainment grow here in the city of Peoria. The Civic Center's been doing great. Like I said, when the weather's warm, the riverfront does very good with the different concerts that are put on, whether that's to the Peoria Park District and others. But I feel like we can take that even to the next level. What Discover Peoria is doing, really trying to promote the region and different entertainment things that are happening. And I think that that's great as well too. So making sure that we're doing that. So those are some of the things that I think is very important. You talk about, again, quality of life. I think it's staying connected with our educational entities, and working with them and seeing how we can continue to keep supporting them, because your public school system is a recruitment and retention tool for many constituents in our community. And so we have to continue to keep supporting them, being an asset, working together, and working with all of our local governing bodies, whether it's the Peoria Park District, Peoria Public Schools, the County of Peoria, the City County Health Department. All of those local governing bodies have to continue to keep working together. And we do so, but there's always ways to improve that to ensure quality of life for our community.
Now, here comes the controversial question. Can you share your perspective on the recent ban on public camping and its implications for the homeless population? Because you are one of the few members of the council to actually vote against that ordinance. What are your thoughts?
Sure. So I'll take a step back for a second. The unhoused situation in our community, like many municipalities across the country, um, has always been there. I will say over the last several years, it's just more visible because of the encampments that have emerged within our community. Um, and it's caused a lot of tension, frustration, concerns amongst many stakeholders, whether it's the residential community, the business community, visitors that are coming to our city for a variety of reasons. And so it got to a boiling point where um, I knew something was going to need to be done from an enforcement standpoint. There was two proposals that were put on the docket that day for us to consider. The proposal that I was willing to support, and I said this on the record, I believe was option two. I can't remember how it was ranked, but option two was minimal fines. So the fine structure was very minimal. I think it was like $50 to $150. And depending on your financial situation, that could be a lot of money, especially when you're unhoused. But it was a lot cheaper than what option one was proposing. But the stick of option two was we would remove your items. And so I felt that that was enough of a stick at this time because the communication that I was personally receiving and talking to different stakeholder groups is we currently don't have enough beds for everyone who desires housing. And so I didn't feel right with voting for an ordinance initially that would have a punitive measure of arresting you after you've been warned 3 times, um, and we don't necessarily have a bed for you. That could have been something that we could have considered down the line, especially when you think about, if you fast forward 2 years, we have the opportunity to be at net zero for those who desire housing because of the Salvation Army project that's coming down the pipeline. I was at the Capitol campaign kickoff for that yesterday. Some very generous people donating some significant funds to get that project off the ground. You think about what Phoenix is doing at the old Methodist College downtown, and that's going to be for families. We just approved an affordable housing project at the old McKinley site. So when you factor all of those things, again, a year and a half, 2 years down the line, we have the opportunity to have enough beds for those who desire it to potentially be at net zero unhoused. But we're not here yet. And because of that, I didn't feel comfortable with us implementing a ordinance that had a jail time component, because when you put someone on that carousel that is the criminal justice system when they are already potentially at their lowest being unhoused, you're not addressing the problem. And now the new mental, health shelter or facility is the county jail, which is already in need of a facilities upgrade. You think about, the stress that it puts on our courts and our probation and court services, and because everything has a cost. And so just because you move them from this spot, but then they go to the jail and then they go to the court system and they go here. So that's the reason why I couldn't support that current ordinance at that time. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that vote. Um, I understand the other side of it, but at the end of the day, I just feel that we currently just don't have the entire docket of resources that we need to truly combat this problem currently in order to implement such a punitive measure. And that was my stance, and that's why I voted the way I did.
So, what are your plans to enhance educational opportunities and support for local schools?
Well, it's no surprise, I'm a proud Peoria Public Schools graduate. I've been involved in Peoria Public Schools since I moved back to Peoria. Currently, the board chair for the Peoria Public Schools Foundation, which is a
Oh,
501c3 entity for Peoria Public Schools, and we raise funds for a variety of things, including our Right Now Fund, classroom grants, things of that nature. My kids, all three of them, go to Peoria Public Schools, and so we are very, very passionate and supportive of Peoria Public Schools, and we'll continue to keep supporting them. I support them through my volunteerism, whether that's with Peoria Public Schools, whether that's serving on the board of directors of the Peoria Promise Foundation, where we provide tuition reimbursement to Peoria area students to go to Illinois Central College to pursue their post-secondary career goals. And so I think that's very important. Although Peoria Public Schools or no public school system falls under the purview of the city of Peoria, I think it's very important to be very collaborative with them. We did provide them with, I believe, a little over $200,000 for a violence prevention program that they were launching out of our American Rescue Plan Fund. So that's just an example of when collaboration opportunities come about, we can support them. So, like I said earlier, your public school system is one of the ultimate recruitment and retention tools. And so, personally, I am all in on Pure Public Schools, and I'm doing my best to lead by example. And that's why I have my kids enrolled in Pure Public Schools, and will continue to be an advocate and a supporter to ensure that it can be the best district that it can be. It has opportunities for improvement, just like every urban school district in America. But we have some great things in place, and I'm excited about the future of our school district.
how do you envision the role of technology and innovation in Peoria's future development?
I think technology and innovation will continue to be at the forefront when you look at, what's going on with AI and things of that nature. And so we just got to be proactive. Like I mentioned earlier, the Peoria Police Department has been very intentional about bringing, crime fighting technology to the forefront of what they're doing, whether it's, again, responsible drone usage, using the Fuchsia's camera system, iCloud based software, if you will. And so we'll continue to be innovative. We'll support our information technology department at the city of Peoria, making sure that we are approving the right, uh, cybersecurity protocol and things of that nature, because you're one ransomware from everything being shut down. And so I think we have to be there. And then I think also too, we have to ensure that how are we a climate, if you will, for potential businesses to come to Peoria to grow their innovation and their technology. I see what Tada is doing. Shout out to Guha. He's amazing. He's doing some big things with Tada, and they got some great things rolling. And so, what could be the next, small business in that space of technology and innovation? We're already this healthcare hub, and we still have a huge footprint in manufacturing. But could technology be another key piece if we continue to have the environment where businesses want to come? But then also, too, we have to ensure that we have the workforce for those businesses to employ, because skilled labor will always be a recruitment tool for business and innovation.
So, final planned question. What are your long term goals for the 4th District and Peoria as a whole if reelected?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good question. So, I mean, long term goals. I want Peoria, District 4, to be a place where people want to live, work, play. Like I talked about earlier, we've got strong neighborhoods, we've got great schools, we've got great businesses, but there's always
Yes, we do.
opportunities for. But we always got opportunities for improvement. My moving forward platform is based off of four pillars: strong neighborhoods, modern infrastructure, economic development, and public safety. And so those will be our guiding light if reelected here in April. And I look forward to it. I'll say these last 3.5 years, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in the role. I've nurtured and gathered a lot of relationships in this role to be effective. And I truly feel that the second term is going to be even greater. We've got some good things potentially on the horizon in District 4, just because of again, our location and having, again, like I said earlier, I mean, we've got everything you need to be successful, not only for our city but for our region. So I pray, that the good people, they see the work that we've done, and they believe in me, and they want me to keep leading. And I look forward to working with them, because at the end of the day, um, no success in any district is done by one person. It takes collaboration, whether it's from, the district council member, working, with the members of the city council, whether that's my fellow district colleagues, my at-large colleagues, our mayor, working with city staff, working with our constituents. Our constituents are driving, a lot of things. They're letting us know what type of vision they see for our city. And so, nothing gets done alone. The fist is stronger than the finger. And I look forward to continue to keep working with people, keep generating more wins for our community.
So now we're gonna go into the whole like improvised territory of the interview. So for those who don't know, Andre created his own sports podcast, I think, called Chopping It Up. So would you like to tell the world about that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, no. So, chopping it up is something I started back in college as a Facebook group. Uh, and literally, it just morphed into a bunch of dads. We've got some women part of it as well, too. And we just talk crap about sports all day. And then I believe it was in 2017, maybe, when I moved back to Peoria in 2018. My boy Demarcus Hamilton, shout out to him, director of Strictly Hip Hop. He asked me if I wanted to do a weekly sports radio show on 90.7. Talk about sports with his brother Stefan, aka Abafa. Shout out to him. And I said, sure, why not? And so we uh, we started hosting, and you learn a lot. You got to be prepared. You got to have your questions, your music. We were scheduling guests. I remember one of the guests we had when Richwood's girls basketball won state. We invited their team and their parents to the studio. We were operating out of the East Bluff Community Center, and I think we did that all for about maybe 2.5 years, 3 years. And so I loved it. Ultimately, I had to stop doing it though because I couldn't do it consistently. And when you don't do something consistently, it's never as good. Once I got on the city council, my schedule, I just didn't have the bandwidth to keep it up. But the Facebook page is still active though. So, you'll get on there and somebody will be talking about why LeBron pulled out of the All-Star game, or talking about Canada upsetting the United States last night and stuff too. So it's just a great way to bring people together, not take nothing too serious, have some good positive debate, man. So shout out to the chopping it up membership. We appreciate you all rocking with us over the years, man. We might have to do like a 10-year celebration party or something. It's been a little minute.
So, in regards to the recent, of course, is going to raise a little bit of eyebrows to both the viewers of this and the members of Chopping It Up. So, what were your thoughts about about the Super Bowl?
As far as the actual game,
Yep.
you know what, I was okay with it. You know, it's not that I'm a Bears fan by default, but
Who
so I
isn't?
really didn't have I didn't really have like a dog in the fight, but I wanted to see the Eagles pull it off. I like Jalen Hurts. I've always liked the Eagles, even when like Donovan McNabb and T.O. were on the Eagles and Andy Reid was their coach. I think it's because I like the uniforms. My favorite color is green, and so I wanted the game to be a little bit more competitive than it was. But no, I'm not upset with it. Shout out to the Eagles. They brought the championship back to the NFC, where the Bears are housed, and hopefully we can get there next year. But yeah, no, I was okay with the result. No worries there.
So, what do you think is going to happen with the next upcoming season? Is what do you hope is going to happen?
As far as the Bears, or
Everything.
uh, I will say next year will be interesting because I think you'll see a parity shift. The thing about the NFL, because of salary cap and things,
Oh.
it's hard to really keep teams together. That's why what the Chiefs have done have been, so incredible. Them keeping the pieces together, but they've lost pieces, and the glue is really Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and they kind of can plug people in. From there, they've always,
Oh.
yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see what occurs. As far as our Bears, I don't know. We've got a new head coach. We got a second year quarterback. One of the things with the
Yeah.
Bears is we just never have that stability, and it's very hard to win when you're not stable or consistent. So
Yeah, that's very. It's so embarrassing to be in for your state team to be in the news for embarrassing reasons and not uplifting reasons, which is always a downer.
yeah, it's tough, but bear down. I'm loyal to the soil.
I'm in the same boat. So, so in this is where we're gonna go into somewhat controversial territory in regards to the recent administration's opinion on DEI. Um, hmm, maybe this might be too much of a controversial question. Why do you think DEI in your words is important?
I'll say diversity, equity, inclusion is important because it's intentional action that is in response to us acknowledging that there are individuals in our society that do not have equal opportunities, um, whether that is due to their physical abilities, mental abilities. Um, it could have something to do with their race, their gender, how they identify, where they're from, um, their immigration status, all these different things, these nuances um, that make us a diverse society. And so when we acknowledge that there has been some issues in our society, we've got to address those. And if you look back in the history of this country, we tried to do that. It started with the Emancipation Act of 1863 that uh, freed the enslaved. Ultimately, the enslaved wasn't completely free until 1865, and that's why we celebrate Juneteenth.
Yep.
But then even after that, there were processes in place that still um, kept those who were recently freed barred down by issues within the criminal justice department. There was this concept called black codes where um, African Americans at that time, if you would do some of the most trivial things, would land you in prison. If you walk too close to a train track, you could be arrested and do some serious time. And then that filters into the prison industrial complex. Um, and then you start, then you go through the 1920s, 1930s, and then we get into and then, you have Jim Crow, Civil Rights Act, mass incarceration, war on drugs, all these different things that have occurred. And you need legislation, you need intentional action to address those things. Um, and then not even looking at it from a racial lens, but look at it from, a physical ability situation, the ADA Act being passed, ensuring that those who may have to utilize a wheelchair are able to get into a building. And so there's a reason why there's a ramp there. There's a reason why if a building has more than, I believe, 3 floors, that it has to have an elevator. But the beauty of it, though, and this is the reason why equity is important, and it's truly the tide that raises all boats, is that although that ramp and that elevator were made and implemented because of legislation, an able-bodied person who doesn't use a wheelchair can utilize that ramp and that elevator.
I agree. So,
So everyone still benefits from it. When you think of when it comes to diversity hiring and things of that nature, when everyone is able to be gainfully employed and are part of the economy and are able to participate and provide for themselves, that impacts crime. That makes sure that you have a thriving economy that is not relying on, so much on taxes and things of that nature from a small segment of people. If the wealth is concentrated it's for one group of individuals, of course you're going to pay the highest taxes because you all are concentrating the wealth. If the wealth is more equally distributed, then I don't have to stress as much. It's like a heart. If one of the capillaries is clogged, the heart got to work harder. But if we
yeah,
unclog all the capillaries and the blood is flowing, that heart is pumping. It's pumping. And that's why we need diversity, equity, and inclusion, because we have to unclog some of these capillaries that have been clogged through to systematic issues in our society. And that's why I've always been an advocate for it. It's not saying that we are lowering the bar, we are lowering the
yeah.
standard. We can have accountability and support. Those two things are parallel. But in order for us to truly be a society that is thriving and continuing to be a leader on the world stage,
Yeah.
we have to embrace diversity, equity, inclusion. We have to. We have to make sure our best and brightest reflects the entire country.
So, as a final ending note question for this, it's basically not a, but it's basically a request. So, for those in the audience who don't know, who are not aware of how to vote or how to, or basically how what they need to do.
Absolutely. So I will start off with this because I know it can be confusing. So right now we have a primary election taking place. So the primary election concludes Tuesday, February 25th. Early voting is going on right now. You can go vote this weekend at the Peoria Election Commission. Could be some other locations within Peoria County that you can vote. I would recommend going to the Peoria County Election Commission's Facebook page or website. They do a really good job about letting you know about voting locations, dates, and times there if you want to early vote. On the primary ballot, only those races that have three or more people competing in them are on that ballot. And that includes the mayor, that includes city treasurer, and that includes Peoria City Council District 2. Another nuance is we also have a partisan race taking place in the township the Peoria Township Assessor's Office. So we have two candidates who are identifying as Republicans that are running for that race. So when you go to the ballot, or you go to go vote, excuse me, they're going to ask you which ballot do you want? Do you want the nonpartisan ballot or do you want the Republican ballot? If you pull the nonpartisan ballot, you will only be able to vote for mayor, city treasurer, and if you live in District 2, you'll be able to vote for District 2. If you pull the Republican ballot, you'll be able to vote for the mayor, District 2, city treasurer, and then also the township assessor's race. Once those races conclude Tuesday, they'll announce, longest whoever wins by a sizable margin, excuse me, what candidates are moving on to the primary election. So the top two from the mayor's office, the city treasurer's office, and then the District 2 race will move on to the April 1st general election. And that's where I will be at. And so my race is only on the April 1st general election ballot, with early voting set to start March 17th is the estimated time frame. And so this is a time right now where individuals need to make sure that their voice is heard in the primary. And then they need to, after that, remember that they have to vote again. So your vote from the primary election does not carry over to the general election if you voted for mayor or city treasurer. I know you got to vote twice in 6 weeks. It can be confusing, but we truly need increased voter turnout. Local government matters so much. It impacts your day-to-day life. So make sure you get out, you vote. If you've got any questions, call the Peoria Election Commission. They're very available, accessible. They want to help you, walk you through the process. All the candidates are running, should have websites, should have social media. Do your research, see where their stances are so you can make the best educated guess. But be a part of the process. I cannot stress that enough. Please be a part of the process.
So thank you to Andre Allen for being on this interview. And thank you for the viewers for watching this. Thank you, Andre.
Hey, no problem, AR. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, to tuning in. For more information, you can follow me on everything, Andre W. Allen.